Why are you crying? And the dream changed. Winfred? A moment ago, he was rubbing his face against his mother's cheek, feeling happier than ever. Without realizing it, he was in a different place. Where am I? He looked around. Ah, on the roof. On the roof, where he watched the stars with Winfred. But did Isla cry at that moment? No, he definitely didn't cry. Curiously, his eyes were wet. Don't cry, Isla. If you cry. If you cry. Winfred couldn't continue speaking, but somehow she seemed to understand what she was trying to say. In her dream, Winfred had a heartbreaking expression on her face, as if her tears were her own. Mississippi. It's strange. It's Cloud. A long scar at the corner of his right eye. The dream had changed again, and he saw Cloud before his eyes. He didn't like this dream one bit. Why did it have to be Cloud, precisely? Isla puffed out her cheeks in discontent. He was with Winfred. He didn't like the character in his dream, his eyes stung and his vision was blurry. I'm sorry, miss. Cloud apologized with an expression that showed he couldn't stand the pain. What a strange dream. Cloud, you wouldn't apologize to me, would you? Because Cloud is a bad guy. He was a bad son who deceived Isla and used her for the good of his family. I'm sorry. That? What do you feel? Why do you say you're sorry? Anyway, it was just a dream, so why did you come to see me in my dreams and bother me like that? Isla was angry and wanted to scream, but she had no strength in her body. It must have been a dream. Cloud closed his mouth tightly. It wasn't even funny. Even if it was a dream, there was no way for him to confess his crimes. What were you expecting when you asked? Do you like it when you cheat on me? Isla asked with a sneer. Cloud's gruff face twisted with guilt. Isn't it fun to fool a stupid girl? No. She already knew he didn't find it funny. Cloud was distraught at having to trick her. And yet, maybe what he was doing was nothing more than venting his anger. Still, it was a dream. Because it was a dream. And then, the scene changed again. Miss? Isla, who seemed to have woken up for a moment, soon seemed to have fallen back asleep. Is it fun to fool a stupid girl? Cloud, who had been watching over her all night, frowned. He couldn't understand what he had just heard. It was as if he spoke as if he knew everything. That can't be true. So it won't work. Although the fireplace warmed the air, a cold wind ran down his back. Did you know that? Since when and until when? Does she know that she is not Byron's biological daughter? Or that he's raising her to be a murderer and kill her biological father? No. It can't be. It couldn't be. How on earth could a 13-year-old girl know all this and pretend she didn't, and live her life as usual, behaving like Byron? As he watched Isla sleeping with her face full of shock and guilt, Laura, who had already fallen asleep, opened the door. And entered. Excuse me, uncle. I can take care of her now. Go rest. Oh, yes. Leave. Even as he left Isla's room, replacing Laura, Cloud's gaze was still fixed on Isla. And his pupils trembled slightly. No way, he thought it couldn't be that. A little doubt arose in his heart. What a ridiculous thought, that maybe that girl knew the whole truth. He continued to think about it. Why does my head feel so heavy? Isla sat up blankly. Then, a wet towel fell from his head. What was this? Isla shook the sleep from her eyes and looked around to understand the situation. Laura was sitting in a chair next to the bed, nodding off. Only then did the memory hit me. Oh, I fell. Under the cold rain, he gritted his teeth and held on. He was in no condition to collapse just because it was raining on him. It seemed to be due to accumulated fatigue. How much sleep did I get? His back hurt and his head felt dull. It had been so long since I had slept so well that I had no idea how much time had passed. Oh. You're awake, miss. The creak it made woke Laura from her sleep. What happened? What happened? Do you know how surprised the master was when the young woman suddenly collapsed? And he had been sleeping for 2 days. 2 days. Did I sleep that long? It was an incredible story. Have you ever slept so much in your life? She was used to normal life, always going to bed early and waking up early. She had probably never laid down for so long, except perhaps as a newborn. And yet I'm sleepy? I must be really bad. Although she had slept for 2 full days, she felt like she might fall asleep as soon as she went back to bed. His fever seems to have gone down a lot. Aren't you hungry? Laura's hand, which was still resting on her forehead, seemed to be quite cold, indicating that she still had a slight fever. Hey. Yes, I'm hungry. After hearing Laura's words, his stomach finally began to roar. It was understandable, since he hadn't eaten anything in 2 days. Please wait a moment. I'll bring something to eat right away. Laura complained for a moment that he was bothering her because she was sick for no reason, and then quickly brought him a steaming bowl of chicken soup. Now that I think about it, I think I had a dream. Isla sipped her hot soup and sat deep in thought. After 2 days of sleep, he must have had quite a few dreams. There wasn't a single one that he could remember clearly. He had good dreams about his biological parents, and also bad ones about Byron. He thought he also dreamed about Winfred. It doesn't matter. Isla concentrated on the soup. I was hungry after 2 days without eating, but the soup was really delicious. Although it was her enemy who deceived her, she couldn't help but recognize Capella's cooking skills. As Isla emptied the bowl, Laura handed her some medicine that was obviously very bad. After frowning and taking the medicine, he went back to sleep. Can I sleep a little more? Yes, miss. My master has ordered me to rest until I fully recover. Laura smoothed out the pillow and blanket and lay down on the bed. She had been sleeping for 2 days, so she thought it would be difficult for her to fall asleep again, but her worries were in vain, as she fell asleep immediately. Isla had been sick for some time. He thought that nothing was wrong because it was the first time in his life that he was so lazy, but no matter how much he slept, he continued to feel sleepy and had a hard time getting up. When I woke up after spending weeks in bed, the season had completely changed. The trees that were once covered in colorful leaves now, one by one, left only bare branches, and the first snowfall of this winter has also covered the world in soft white. It seemed like he had grown a lot in his previous life around this time, and it was the same in this one. However, he was still a few years away from becoming the person he remembered. It wasn't that she slept a lot because she was sick, but that she had grown so much that I thought she was trying to grow more. I think I need new clothes. Laura clucked her tongue in disapproval as she saw that her short, chubby arms and legs were slowly getting longer, and that the sleeves of her training uniform were too short. It is normal for a child to grow up, so why is she so dissatisfied? Isla understands that it is not pleasant to have so much work, since Laura and Capella would be cutting and sewing new clothes. He didn't understand why it was necessary to show off like that in front of her. In her past life, she was so depressed that she even apologized for growing up. Thinking about it, it was really absurd. Yes, it's true. Isla nodded vaguely in a heartless voice. She knew Laura wanted her to be the one to apologize angrily. But if he didn't, there was nothing Laura could do about it. Because growing up was really natural. As expected, it was as she expected. Laura seemed displeased with Isla's attitude, but since she couldn't do anything, she kept her mouth shut. Since she had nothing to wear right away, Isla put on Laura's coat. It was a little long, but since Laura wasn't very tall, it was fine. It was quite cold and Laura was worried because Isla had been sick for a long time. She put on a fluffy scarf and earmuffs. He hasn't trained much lately, so he'll have to work a lot harder to catch up. If not, Master will be disappointed. Yes, Laura. I will do the best I can. It was nice not to have to listen to Laura complain while she was sick and in bed. It felt like he was back to his daily routine.